Yeah, this one's gonna get troublesome. I already know what's gonna go down. Look at, no particular reason, just because this is what I've chosen to do today. Would you mind identifying, please?
PC Dean.
Okay.
Code number 17920.
Thank you. And yourself?
Okay?
Why are you lot all coming out like this? You're making me feel nervous.
Because
like,
when people start filming outside of our police station, it tends to alert red flags. Okay?
for what reason?
Mainly for terrorism. I'm not saying.
It starts here as a simple man with a camera outside a police station is about to spiral into a masterclass on how quickly lawful activity can get treated like suspicious behavior. Watch carefully, because within seconds, officers go from just asking questions to casually throwing around terrorism concerns, antisocial behavior laws, and vague security threats without clearly establishing any actual offense. This is exactly why these encounters matter. The moment authority starts leaning on intimidation instead of lawful grounds, every member of the public should pay attention. And here's the bigger question for you watching right now. If someone filming in public automatically becomes suspicious, where does that line stop? Today's interaction becomes less about security and more about whether officers truly understand the limits of their own powers.
Okay, but mainly because majority of people come around, they like to film our cars, know what our registrations are, know what our police officers look like.
What?
Okay?
Okay.
No procedures for getting in and out of the building safe and securely. So that in that way, they can potentially perform a terrorist attack, okay, and have it all on recording. So that's why we come down and we like to check to make sure why they are. So you asked me to identify myself.
Yeah, I'm not going to identify. No,
myself,
no.
Why is that?
I'm not required to. I'm not committing any offence.
You're not required to because you're not committing any offence.
Yeah, absolutely.
However, you are in a public place.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Exactly.
So under Section 50 of the Police Reform Act,
Okay.
you could be required to identify yourself with name and address, or you could be arrested. Okay, if your
What if
behaviour
I'm
is believed to be
antisocial? So am I behaving antisocially?
This is where the encounter takes a serious turn legally. The officer mentions Section 50 of the Police Reform Act, but notice what's missing: actual evidence of antisocial behavior. The law doesn't exist, so police can demand identification from anyone holding a camera near a government building. There has to be a reasonable belief that someone is causing harassment, alarm, or distress. Simply existing in public with a camera doesn't meet that threshold. And this is something viewers should always understand. Confidence from an officer does not automatically equal legality. A lot of people would have folded the second you could be arrested entered the conversation, but the auditor calmly pushes back and asks the key question: what exactly have I done? That's the moment the conversation starts unraveling. So ask yourself honestly, would you know your rights well enough to challenge this calmly under pressure?
Does not constitute antisocial behaviour, no. Is that the route we're going to go down? I'm not going to give you my name. I'm not going to give you my name. I wouldn't suggest using the Section 50 power. You would have to prove that I'm behaving antisocially, causing members of the public harassment, alarm, and... Okay, so how's my behaviour?
If you're filming and the fact that you're standing outside, if there was a member of the public to walk past and feel completely distressed by the fact that you...
How would they feel distressed by that? Am I engaging anyone else? I'm just here filming you.
You walk past...
What are we doing? And are you going to nick me now, are you?
Well, I'm going to ask you to move on, sir.
I'm not going to move on. I'm in a public place.
At the moment, you're not in a public place, sir. This is cast as a private place.
No, it's not private.
At this point, the officer's argument is shifting almost in real time. First, it was terrorism concerns, then antisocial behavior, now suddenly it's private property. And this is something you'll often see in these public accountability encounters. When one justification doesn't hold up, another one quickly takes its place. But the bigger issue here is professionalism. The moment emotions start creeping in, the authority of the interaction weakens dramatically. You can actually hear the frustration building on both sides, but the difference is that officers are expected to maintain composure under scrutiny. Instead, this exchange starts looking less like public safety and more like an ego battle over who controls the pavement outside the station. Meanwhile, the auditor keeps bringing the discussion back to one central point: am I breaking the law? And so far, nobody has clearly answered that question.
Oh, look, this is a pavement, mate. What are you talking about?
I'll tell you what, sir, if you want to be in a private place or a public place, take a step on that pavement.
No, I'm good here. I'm good here. So this is not a private place. How is this a private place? Look at where we are. Look. Just so the camera can pick it up, yeah? So if it...
So there's your yellow lines.
No. You're talking nonsense, mate. You're talking rubbish. There you are, mate. You're trying to flex jurisdiction. Let's just pack it in. Yes, you are. I will carry on filming. No, I'm not going to step there. So we've gone Section 50, and now we're talking about private land. What's
Try it
next?
down in the Metropolitan
What's
Police
next?
Office.
What's next?
So I'm correct in what I'm telling you.
No,
okay?
you're just flexing
I'm not
unnecessarily.
flexing at
Yes,
all.
you
You don't need
are.
to flex unnecessarily. You're not an issue to me. 1792.
All right, I'm not an issue.
Crack
No
it down.
worries.
You are not an issue to me.
Good.
I have no reason to
Good.
flex to you.
Good.
You are not that much of an issue.
Good.
I'm
Then
saying,
then there
right,
should be
carry
no
on filming.
reason. There should be
Back
no.
onto the
There should be
pavement
no.
over there. It's not a problem
There
at
should be
all.
no concerns about me filming. Then, if that's the case.
Well, generally there is concerns.
Well, you just said that I'm not an issue to you.
You're not an issue for me to flex. That means I'm not bothered by you. You're not big, high and mighty, okay?
Okay. It's not about me. It's about you. This is about your ego, not about mine.
It's not
Not about your. Yeah, of course it
Your
is.
ego needs to be approved and swept and fucking stroked because you're standing.
Did you
there.
just swear?
Because yeah, I did just swear.
So you
I'm not in a
just.
public place.
Yes, of course you're in a public place. You just committed section 5.
I'm not in a public
Hold
place.
on.
This is private land.
Dean, bruh.
This is
Pack it
private
in,
land.
mate. Pack it in, mate.
Public places over there.
Pack it in, mate.
Public
Mate,
places
pack
over
it in
there.
right now. Don't swear again. We're all in a public place. This is all public.
Private.
This is all public. This is all publicly accessible. Show me where the boundary is that denotes public and
Yellow
private.
line.
No, double yellow line doesn't denote private property. Dean, mate, you're digging yourself a hole. You're digging yourself a hole. You just swore. You started with section 50. Then you're saying private property. Even if this was private property, it's a civil matter. This is publicly accessible. This isn't private property anyway.
This is private
mate,
land, sir. This is
mate, this has not been good. Mate, this ain't good.
Okay.
Why are
feel
you
free.
swearing? Can I swear? Can I use the F word?
You can swear if you want, sir.
So I can say fuck, yeah?
Congratulations.
Fuck. Yeah, no, I feel good, yeah.
Well done. Okay. Just we'll carry through. We've got that paper.
And you did swear in a public place.
Private.
This ain't private, mate. No, it's not. You're making yourself look ridiculous. Just go back inside, mate. All right.
You have to take a pinch of common sense as well.
I don't have to take a pinch of nothing. I don't have to take any advice from any of you. I'm in a public place, filming, which is lawful, and you've tried to threaten me. Yeah, you have. Yes, you have. You haven't educated me. I'm educating you right now. Go on.
Like, with you standing so close to the entrance.
I'm not obstructing you, am I?
No, but you need to listen. With you standing so close to an entrance, filming, that poses security questions for us, okay? There are people who wish to do the police harm.
Okay, I'm not one of those.
Okay, but we don't know that, do we? So
Well, you have to go based on what you do know.
You haven't identified yourself, so
I don't
we have
need to.
treat you as an unknown risk, so we don't know.
Why am I at risk? This is a camera.
The phrase unknown risk might sound reasonable at first, but legally, that kind of language can become incredibly dangerous if it's used too loosely. In a free society, police powers are supposed to be based on observable behavior and reasonable suspicion, not simply because someone makes officers uncomfortable. Think about the logic being used here. If everyone becomes an unknown risk, by default, then virtually any member of the public could be treated with suspicion at any time. That's a massive shift away from civil liberties and toward constant surveillance culture. And notice how the auditor keeps challenging these broad statements with practical questions instead of aggression. He's forcing the officers to explain the legal foundation behind their actions, and that's where things continue getting shaky. This part of the interaction really exposes the tension between public accountability and modern policing culture.
An unknown risk. Common sense.
Based on
proves-
what? If an old
Sir,
granny
you're
was
not letting
filming
me
here,
finish.
would she be an unknown risk?
You're not letting me finish, so that you can't understand my point. Okay. By you standing here, common sense would dictate that poses a security risk.
Why?
to
Is the
police
building not
section.
secure? Like, you
Well,
lot
with
are
you
armed, like
standing
you've got a
here-
taser. Like, what sort of security
with
risk
you
is it?
standing here constantly, filming cars coming in and out. right next
Marked
door, so
marked
we can-
cars
right
marked
next
cars
to
that are
where a
paid
gate
for by the
opens
taxpayer.
in
I've
and
got every
out.
right to film them.
Right next to where a gate opens in and out. Like I said, you're an unknown risk. You've got a bag. We don't know what you've got on you. You could run in.
Alright,
You could
well,
have something on
well,
you that we don't know.
Yeah, well,
so that's why
I mean, there's lots of members of the public that have stuff on them that you don't know.
I know, but they're not.
Are they all
posing
unknown
themselves
risks
right
as well?
in front of
Yeah,
you.
well, I can be here.
Everyone's an unknown risk.
Everyone's an unknown risk. We don't live in a police state where everyone's an unknown risk and you're constantly doing surveillance. What sort of you lot have been brainwashed or something? I'm just a member of the public. Chill out. We're not all unknown risks. What are they teaching you in training? Unknown risk. Is this a police state? Do you have to spy on each other? All like we all have to like snitch on each other? What's going on here? Like, what is going on here?
So we have to manage risk. So we always have to manage risk, and that's why we have to do
Hey, you lot are-
unknown risk and known risk.
No.
So anything that we don't know is unknown to us, so we have to treat it with an element of caution.
Okay.
Yeah? That's fair to say, isn't it?
Okay, I mean-
that's a common sense approach to this. And because we don't know you, you've not identified yourself with us, we don't know the risks that you pose.
Would you identify yourself?
Yeah, I'm PC Cook,
Okay.
1654.
Sure.
Yeah? And I'm just talking to you like I would to anybody else.
All right.
And that's the point I'm trying to impress to you today, sir. That's all.
Okay, now what?
Well, like my colleague said, because we don't know you, we don't know the risks, we are going to just ask you to move on to the public point.
This is public here. I guarantee you 100% this is public here.
But with your proximity,
And even if it was private, this is publicly accessible. Look. Just for some context, right? He's saying this yellow line denotes where it's public, where it's private. So how could this possibly be private property? Even let's say hypothetically it was private property, yeah? Who owns this property? Does the Met Police own this property, or would they hypothetically lease the property?
Owns this property.
No, they don't. Okay, right. So who pays for the council? How's the council funded? I'm pretty sure this is leased anyway. I'm pretty sure the Met don't own this.
This was gifted to us.
So,
You know that for a fact, do you? Well, you got flowers on your radio.
Why not?
I'm
so
asking why.
If you went into a shop and they had a counter with no barriers either side, you would know that
Yeah, that shop's not paid for by the taxpayer.
No, but behind that kiosk area, even though you can access it, is an inaccessible point. That's another common sense approach. So you can see that from there to here, and then this bit here, common sense would dictate that this is not a public part of the domain. Yeah?
Okay, well this is all paid for by tax money, so.
But you have to you understand why we're talking.
You understand how like fiscal policy works. So the government tax, and then they spend on public services, and this is that. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a fiscal policy. It's an economic policy, right? So it dictates how spending and taxation works.
Okay, I'm not here for a lesson. I'm just trying to talk to you.
Right. And I'm just trying to explain to you.
As a person,
Yeah.
from a person to a person, why we are managing the risk of somebody standing by the entrance that's constantly used to a police station.
Okay, have I satisfied that I'm not a risk?
Well, no, because we
All right. Well, how are you going to satisfy it then?
Well, we're just.
Just remember, everything I'm doing right now is perfectly legal. So just remember that, and it's not antisocial. Well, why did you backpedal on that?
I didn't backpedal.
Yeah, you did. But why are you not nicking me under Section 50 then?
Because I've got no reason to nick it. Doesn't mean backpedaling.
Okay.
I'm trying to approach you with common sense. I don't like to unnecessarily criminalise people.
Oh, thank you. Good,
So-
good.
Me and my colleague have tried to appeal to your common sense nature, but clearly.
Good. I'm happy that you're not. I'm happy that you're not criminalising people. That's good. You know of any officers doing stuff like that?
Do I know of any officers
Yeah.
that unnecessary criminal?
Yeah. Never heard of that. Right, good. Good. Why? How? You swore in a public place as well.
I didn't swear.
Yeah, you did.
I did not. And if that has offended you, then I do apologise, but I did not swear in a public place.
You did. You said the F word. I've got it on camera.
I swore, but I'm not in a public place.
All right. If you say so.
Okay.
Right, we done?
Yeah, you go back your day.
All right, you're dismissed. You're dismissed. Go away.
The end of this encounter, no crime had been identified, no lawful grounds for enforcement were clearly established, and the auditor ultimately remained within his legal rights the entire time. What makes this case so important isn't just the filming itself, it's the repeated escalation through vague references to terrorism, antisocial behavior laws, private property claims, and unknown risks, all without solid legal backing. Encounters like this reveal how easily ordinary citizens can feel pressured into surrendering their rights simply because authority is speaking confidently. Whether you agree with auditing or not, understanding the limits of police power is essential in any democratic society. Now we want to hear from you. Were the officers acting reasonably cautious, or did they overstep their authority here? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to know their rights, and subscribe to the channel for more jaw-dropping police encounter breakdowns and legal analysis.